Black Panther was the first black superhero to grace the pages of mainstream American comics. He made his debut in July of 1966, created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, and he did so at a time when black Americans were still fighting for basic civil rights. It's no surprise that this character has become a cultural icon. But the impact of Black Panther goes beyond the character himself. The country of Wakanda, home of the Panther's people, is one of the most interesting and influential settings in all of Marvel Comics. And it's changed how we think about Africa forever. Wakanda is an advanced, highly secretive African nation. Its citizens are known as Wakandans. Now, while Wakanda was never specifically named as being in present-day Zimbabwe, the shape of its location on the map and the way that it was drawn clearly places it there. But if you look at older maps, you can see that Wakanda is actually depicted as being in the Congo River Basin. In the center of the country lies the heart-shaped herb which imbues those who consume it with great power and longevity. This mystical plant would eventually be used to create the super soldier serum, which gave Captain America his powers. The first Black Panther, T'Challa, was the king of Wakanda, having inherited the role from his father, the previous Black Panther. The title of Black Panther actually passed down from ruler to ruler, and anyone who holds the title is considered to be the protector of Wakanda. Part of what makes the Black Panther costume so iconic is the fact that it was designed by Jack Kirby, one of the greatest comic book artists of all time. The design also incorporates elements of traditional African clothing and tribal tattoos. Additionally, the suit's claws were said to have been inspired by the Black Panther's distinctive walk, which leaves claw marks in its wake. The original Black Panther costume remains one of the most instantly recognizable outfits in comics. It has never been altered except for minor updates to make it more realistic. Now, part of what makes Wakanda such a fascinating place is the fact that it's technologically advanced, yet very few outsiders know about it. That's because Wakanda is cloaked in a force field generated by the country's supply of Vibranium, which is the same metal alloy that makes up Captain America's shield. Now, Vibranium is an incredibly useful substance that's extremely rare, almost as valuable as gold. So when the meteorite containing it landed in Wakanda thousands of years ago, the Wakandans became very protective of their source of the metal. They used it to make weapons, tools, and even a national anthem. And they've used it to keep their country hidden from outside forces. Even Wakanda's borders are made of vibranium, ensuring that only those who mean the country harm will be alerted to its existence. In addition to being cloaked from outsiders, Wakanda is also cloaked from prying eyes. When you enter Wakanda, your mind is automatically placed under the control of the country's security force, the Dora Milaje. The Dora Milaje are Wakanda's special ops military force composed of fierce female warriors. They are loyal to the king above all else, and thanks to the use of the heart-shaped herb, they live long lives and possess super strength, stamina, and agility. Also, the Dora Milaje are often depicted wearing body paint and traditional African garb, further emphasizing the influence of African culture in Wakandan society. Although it's worth mentioning that some versions of the Dora Milaje wear more modern attire, such as tactical gear and body armor. Now, while Wakanda has been able to remain hidden for centuries, that doesn't mean they haven't had any contact with the outside world. In fact, Wakanda's isolationist policies were only established after a series of tragic events. Before that, Wakanda was ruled by a council of elders who believed in sharing their technology and resources with other countries. However, after a series of violent incidents involving Wakandan tech falling into the wrong hands, the council decided that enough was enough and implemented isolationist policies. One notable example of this is the Mad Dog incident. A group of poachers led by a man known as Kuza infiltrated Wakanda and stole a canister of vibranium, which released a toxic gas that killed hundreds of Wakandans. Another incident involved a Wakandan diplomat who defected and brought vibranium back to the United States, where it was used in a plot to assassinate several high-ranking government officials. These incidents shook Wakanda to its core and led to the implementation of stricter laws and regulations. No more Wakandans were allowed to leave the country, and non-Wakandans were forbidden from entering. Despite the tragic events that occurred, Wakanda's leaders recognized the importance of helping those in need. As such, they implemented a secret system for providing aid to those who couldn't get it anywhere else. This system was overseen by the character Manape, also known as Mephisto. Through this system, Wakanda was able to help many people around the world without drawing attention to itself. Now, while Wakanda is typically depicted as a peaceful and harmonious nation, that hasn't always been the case. In fact, Wakanda has been plagued by internal conflict and strife throughout its history. At one point, the country was torn apart by a civil war that pitted the traditionalists against the modernists. The traditionalists were led by King T'Challa's uncle, N'Jobu, who believed that Wakanda should remain hidden from the outside world and focus on preserving their traditions and culture. On the other hand, the modernists believed that Wakanda should embrace technology and work to improve the lives of their citizens. Eventually, N'Jobu's forces gained the upper hand and he overthrew the monarchy. However, N'Jobu's reign of terror came to an end when T'Challa's father, King T'Chaka, intervened and defeated him. Speaking of King T'Chaka, he also played a major role in shaping Wakanda's history. Under his leadership, Wakanda began to flourish and its people enjoyed a high quality of life. However, tragedy struck when he was assassinated during a peace summit with other world leaders. His death sent shockwaves around the world, and it also set the stage for a new conflict in Wakanda. After T'Chaka's death, Wakanda's ruling council convened to decide who would be the next king. T'Challa was the most obvious choice, but he was challenged by his cousin, Eric Stevens, also known as Killmonger. Killmonger was a highly skilled and charismatic warrior who had spent much of his life outside of Wakanda. He argued that Wakanda needed to change with the times and become more involved in world affairs. While he didn't win the throne, Killmonger's ideas made a lasting impact on Wakanda and its people. After T'Chaka's death, T'Challa took on the mantle of Black Panther and vowed to honor his father's legacy. However, Killmonger returned to Wakanda years later with a vengeance. He challenged T'Challa to a ritual combat known as the Challenge of the Ancestors. The winner of this combat would become the new Black Panther and the ruler of Wakanda. Ultimately, T'Challa was victorious and retained his title as Black Panther. But the experience left him shaken and questioning his beliefs. He realized that Wakanda could not remain isolated forever, and that it needed to find a way to engage with the outside world in order to bring about positive change. As such, T'Challa began to reach out to other world leaders and organizations, working to forge alliances and promote peace. He also made efforts to improve the lives of his citizens, introducing new technologies and social programs that helped to alleviate poverty and disease. Despite these efforts, however, not everyone in Wakanda was happy with T'Challa's new direction. Some, like Manape, felt that he was betraying the traditions of their culture. However, T'Challa pressed on, believing that it was his duty as the Black Panther to use his power and influence for the greater good. And that brings us to the modern day. Today, Wakanda is widely regarded as one of the most advanced and prosperous nations in the world. Its citizens enjoy a high standard of living and are free to pursue their dreams without fear of persecution. The country is also a major player on the global stage, working tirelessly to promote peace and understanding between different cultures. While Wakanda's future remains uncertain, one thing is clear: the country's rich history and traditions will continue to inspire generations to come. I'm the host. This has been Black Panther and Wakanda. If you want to learn more about the history of Black superheroes, stay tuned for more information. Until next time.